Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me directly through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is an internationally syndicated show solely due to the love and support that you all continue to show. We're available across all major podcast distributors, and like I mentioned, people, if you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in because we are delighted to showcase this next guest on our network. And on the line with us today, we have the impressive William E. Thrasher Jr. Now, a lot of you may remember William when he was on our network quite some time ago. And people, listen, man, it was such a wonderful conversation, so enlightening. And once we begin talking, you're going to understand why we had to invite him back. Now, the book we're discussing today is called Good Citizenship for Today. It's available for purchase through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a whole host of other places. But if you want to gather everything that William has in store, and I mean everything, because this is not the only book that William has written, okay? He has 4 other titles that you're also gonna wanna check out. You gotta go to his personal website, and that's thrasherjr.com. There, you're gonna find more information on William, more information on his amazing books, but you're also gonna find the hyperlink set up to take you to the purchasing pages. So one last time, that's thrasherjr.com. And listen, it is an absolute honor, really do mean that, to have William back here on the line, because his book, Good Citizenship for Today, whoo, man, it is something that is needed. It is something that I'm thoroughly looking forward to discussing. When we're talking about what it takes to be a good citizen, man, everybody has their own interpretation on what that means. But I'll tell you one thing, I feel like it's in short supply nowadays. I feel like we don't have enough good citizens today to truly push us forward. And there's a lot of work to be done. This book is the precipice of so much. It's going to help us acknowledge some things. It's going to help get the conversation started. But then it's ultimately up to you. It's ultimately up to me and those around us to continue that motion. William has done something special here, but it can't fall on deaf ears, okay? It needs to be a full community engagement, and that's what we're striving for here today. And listen, at the end of it, man, he's the expert. It's his book. He's written it. Let's bring him here with us. William, first and foremost, welcome back to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm wonderful, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
William, listen, man, it is a pleasure to have you back. I understood, even though it's been some time since you've been with us, right? At least a couple of years. Your book is probably more relevant today than it was years ago. Given where we currently are as a society, where we appear to be heading, your book, Good Citizenship for Today, is perfectly timed. And it's going to be able to educate a number of people who, at least at this point, appear to be uneducated at the moment. Yeah, but that's all I'm going to say about it. All right, I'm going to dive down a rabbit hole. I'm going to try not to preach today, although you may get me there. We'll just wait and see how things go. But before we go into this fantastic book, William, for those of our listening audience members who happen to miss the previous occasion you were with us, start off by giving us some more information on yourself and your background, please.
Well, I'm originally from Little Rock, Arkansas. I spent my first 38 years there, as a matter of fact. And since that time, I have moved quite a bit with career and family. And now I live in Amarillo, Texas. I've been here about 3 years now, working with an organization called Communities Unlimited, and it's a nonprofit organization that serves 7 southern states, and our focus is on helping underserved communities realize their full potential when and wherever possible. And the writing that I've done since the first time we interviewed, I think is somewhat of a reflection of the experiences that I have gone through since our first interview.
Well, listen, William, I got a lot of questions to ask, and a lot will be covered during today's discussion. But let's start with this amazing book, man. Good Citizenship for Today. Tell us more about it.
Well, Good Citizenship for Today, and actually, there is a subtitle. It's not listed there, but it's a mindset on simple virtue. Not enough emphasis has been placed on the importance of good citizenship. When I was a kid, yes, my parents emphasized study, make sure you get the good grades. And I did okay, and I got through. But one thing that they refused to accept was anything less than my best behavior scores. They said, if you don't learn something, at least you can keep your mouth shut or show respect. And that was everywhere I went, in the neighborhood and anywhere in the community, church, school, playground. Be a good citizen. Be someone that shows respect for others and hold others in as high, if not higher, regard than you hold yourself. My parents taught me that. They emphasized that. I've tried to emulate that, and I've tried to teach it to my own children. And I know that the current generation has not had the same focus or emphasis placed on good citizenship. And certainly in the days that lie ahead and the things that we may see, it's going to be important to be able to show who we are in our best light.
You know, William, listen, man, that is such a great point that you bring up, and a great segue that you've established. As much as I don't want to make this discussion political, I understand that there is a lot of overlap in what you're saying in what is currently happening in our society and in our political climate. When we discuss the concept of good citizenship and being good citizens here in the United States, by no means was this an issue that was created by Donald Trump. This was something that I believe was already deep-seated and that now has been exasperated by this upcoming administration because they've been able to tap into a zeitgeist already prevalent in our society. Well, now let's hone it back and let's connect his presidency, past and upcoming, and what it embodies to your book. And in what ways do you think the divisive nature of his presidency challenges the principles of responsibility and respect, amongst other things presented in your book, William?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's important to emphasize the fact that he is not the role model that I certainly want my children to emulate. And I'm just being perfectly honest. It's not all his fault, but to the extent that he is always and ultimately responsible for his own behavior, he bears a great deal of the responsibility. The things he says, the track record that he has left in terms of being a felon, January 6th. You can go through a whole litany of issues that suggest that he's not the best person in that position, but America has put him there. So what does that leave us? Well, to me, it leaves us with a responsibility for being even more vigilant, more committed, more focused on being the best that we can be. One of my themes throughout my book is be an Eli. That's someone who encourages, someone who lifts up, and someone who inspires. We need to be what we want to see in others. Be what you want to see. If you want to see adults, children, whoever showing respect, you must show it. And that's the whole idea behind this book. We know we've already seen how Trump's attitudes go, and we've seen how he has shown disrespect for certain cultures in our society. Well, the only way we can counteract that is by being the very best that we can be, to let those who've been disenfranchised and disrespected know that they are just as important, that we care about them as much as we care about ourselves. I think that good citizens, the focus on becoming good citizens, is the best way for us to approach the coming 4 years of this coming administration.
William, thank you for that, man. I really do mean it. As I mentioned previously, this issue, people, this isn't something solely created and implemented by Trump. If we look at the current Republican Party, there are a lot of members that are far-right extremists. Ron DeSantis, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, just to name a few, are also adding more fuel to this proverbial fire that we currently see dividing our nation and our current political system. And William, I firmly believe it, man. I think that is why books like this, books like the one you have written and others that are out there that are similar, are so important towards helping us become aware and address these things head on. Because through that awareness, through the conversations that we will have, I really do mean it, man. I think that is how we improve and we grow as a society, but it starts there. Transitioning now, William, let's talk about our education system, because I think that has a big part to play in this as well. So in what ways does our education system have a responsibility and play a part in raising the responsible citizens that you're speaking of in your book?
Well, one of the, you could call it motivations behind this book, as well as my own personal upbringing, was my being able to witness firsthand the behavior of so many of our young people in the classroom. Far too often, teachers spend more time trying to get the classroom settled rather than being able to provide the lesson that they're supposed to give. They don't have the same foundation for respect. And this book hopefully will help them see the alternatives to what their basic instincts may suggest or may cause them to react or respond to. The educational system is in trouble. And it's in trouble because we haven't emphasized enough on the importance of the kind of environment where learning takes place. And hopefully, through my book and other literature like it, can help to refocus us on what behaviors we want to see. You know, we are supposedly the leaders of the free world. Well, we can't really claim that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not what we've just done, but we've got to be able to show that in spite of where we are, we can rise above it and become better individuals as well as a better country. And I'm hoping for that to be the case. And it's got to start with me. It's got to start with you. It's got to start with every individual recognizing the importance of self-regulation and respect, and showing the importance of treating others the way you want to be treated.
You know, William, as I'm listening to you speak, the quote that comes to my mind is, be the change that you wish to see in the world, right? To steal a wonderful quote from Gandhi, a figure that has become immortalized, right? A quote that has become cherished. But then you look at the decisions that have been made and you're left dumbfounded, man, because you ask yourself, where is the disconnect? Because I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, to use another example, we look at the Christian community. And listen, first and foremost, I've never been one to categorize myself as a religious person, right? I've always held the belief that I'm more spiritual than religious. And the reasons for that aren't pertinent for today's discussion. So, you know, we don't really need to go into it. But I've always been a believer. And I look at the message of God, this omnipresent, loving force that teaches us to love thy neighbor, to look out for those in need around us, regardless of whether or not you know or, you know, have a particular relationship with that person, or if it's a complete stranger. And William, you know, I think your book symbolizes that in so many aspects. In order to raise responsible citizens, a lot of those fundamental factors are needed.
Sounds like you read my book.
We may have done a little bit of research, right? Maybe a little bit. No, man, but listen, like I look at that message and I can get behind it, right? And then you see these communities of people who claim to represent that, and then they do anything but, right? They do anything but love thy neighbor. And it goes against that message entirely with their actions. Listen, William, I'm an optimist, man. All right. So I believe that we can do it. In fact, you know what? Actually, I know that we can. But my goodness, if it is not a bump in the road that is derailing us on our path, right? People, whoo, man, listen, I'm telling you, this is a book you all need to add to your shelf because the messaging here is so powerful and it's one that you absolutely can get behind and you need to get behind. So once again, it's William E. Thrasher Jr. You got to thank for it all. It's good citizenship for today, but remember, there are 4 other titles that you're going to want to get your hands on. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a whole host of other places. But most importantly, WeThrasherJr.com. Yeah, it's where you got to go. All right, you got to pick up copies of this amazing book. And William, listen, man. As we start to close out of this book, because I do want to give you an opportunity to go into another one of your titles, since you got 4 of them other things, right? You got 4 of them babies. For those of our listening audience members that are listening in right now, and they're buying what we're selling, man, they're heading on over to Amazon as we speak. They're ready to purchase copies of your book, but they're looking at it and they're like, listen, man, Amazon is telling me it's going to take 3 days for this book to get to me. So for right now, William, what are some words of wisdom or advice that you can offer them on how to become good citizens today?
Well, you know, it's going to sound redundant, but I think the emphasis has to be on being what you want to see. One of the things that has inspired me is, and you find it in Micah 6 and 8, I believe it is, where it says, what does the Lord require of you? And it says to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. If we can do those things, if we can please God by acting justly, by loving mercy, and to love mercy means to be tolerant of the differences that make this country great, and then try our best to walk as humbly as possible with God, we can become the greater and better citizens that we need to be. We can become good citizens. And I think that will not only please God, but it will please the rest of the country as well. You had asked me about another book that I wanted to emphasize. My most recent publication is called How to Reach the Masses, Seasoned Pastors Expound on the 7 Pillars. And the 7 Pillars represent one of the first books that I wrote called 7 Pillars for Successful Service. And it was designed to help young ministers get a better grip on what becoming a pastor is all about. And even though I thought I did a fair assessment, I really wanted to go deeper. And the only way to go deeper was to ask some of my colleagues from around the country to contribute to it and take on one of the 7 pillars and help these young men and women who are going into ministry understand the powerful role that they will be playing. And the church has got to be able to respond to the moral cry that this country is actually making now. And the best way to do that is by understanding how the various ministries in the church work to make the Christian church what it should be. So I encourage people to get that book. There are 7 other ministers who I thought did a phenomenal job in writing their perspectives on the 7 pillars. And Fred Luter, former president of the Southern Baptist Convention, wrote the foreword to the book. And so I'm very proud of what that book stands for and what its potential can be in the church community.
People, trust me when I tell you I am thoroughly engulfed in this conversation that we've had here today. William just mentioned a couple of his other books, To Make the Moment Last and 7 Pillars for Successful Service. Well, in addition, man, he also has I Am Determined and How to Reach the Masses. But get this, that's not all. William has another book that's not available for purchase just yet, but you're going to want to check back in frequently to purchase it the moment it becomes available. And that one is entitled What I Believe About Me. These books are each remarkably informative and can truly be a catalyst for change if we allow them to do so. I'm telling you, man, I'm hooked, okay? You know where you gotta go to pick up your copies today. This is something that is remarkably impactful and something that is truly gonna help change your perspective if you allow it to. William, this has been a true pleasure and an absolute honor. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Well, thank you for allowing me the privilege to be back and to share my latest. And thank you for giving me the platform to share what I've been able to share. Thank you so much.